To me, that car is very important because it's a link between the old life and the new life. It's a link with family. It sounds silly, but it's that important to us. If you can imagine a guy who likes to drink a lot and then he buys a pub, I'm that guy, but with cars. When I first saw this car, it was parked outside of my father's mom's house. It belonged to my uncle at the time. He had bought it a few years before, and it was a car that he was very proud of. And my father told me, if you get good grades in your last year of high school, I can buy that car for my brother, and it'll be yours to go to college. This is Ecuador in South America, where Mercedes has always been the pinnacle of luxury. Imagine a high school kid promise that if you do well in school, you're gonna own a Mercedes-Benz, even though it was 16 years old approximately at the time. Sure enough, I bust my tail to get good grades and got the car. ¿Te acuerdas cuánto pagaste por el carro cuando compramos?
We paid something in the range of $9,000 back then.
I drove it through college, and laws were a little looser at the time. It's been driven hard. If you picture a college kid partying, dating, hanging out with his friends, racing, we were doing what we felt to us insane speeds in traffic, and more than once got a close call. The car survived all of that and had a couple bruises along the way. And one day, after 5 years of driving it every day, once I got my engineering degree, I wanted to look for new opportunities, see new horizons, so I migrated to the United States. After I migrated, my sister drove the car for a couple of years going to college. It was that day when I got on an airplane to fly from Quito, Ecuador, where we were originally from, to Miami, Florida in the United States. And I remember I was sitting in the airplane, a little scared because I did not know what was waiting for me on the other side. I remember seeing my parents and my sisters waving at the plane from the end of the runway. Of course, they couldn't see me, but I could see the car. That is an image that I keep. As silly as it might sound, as a car guy, the connection, the bond, was already sealed. The car had served the family well, and my parents decided to sell it. And they sold it to a mechanic that worked for the local Mercedes-Benz dealership. One day, a friend who had spent a lot of time with me when we were younger, she says, I saw your car, it's for sale. And this is probably 5-6 years after my parents have sold the car. So immediately I called my dad and I told him to take a look at it and confirm if that was the car.
At that moment, we went down to the Mercedes-Benz dealer that wasn't very far from the house, maybe about 15 minutes away, and we saw that it was indeed the car. And there we informed you and decided to buy the car, looking for the owner who had been an employee of the dealer.
They bought the car back. At some point, started to smoke a little oil, and as particular as we are with cars, he sent it to Mercedes-Benz of Quito to have the engine rebuilt. Now, my mother, she did not favor the idea of having to spend $3,000-4,000 at the time to have the entire engine refurbished. So he lied to her, and he told her that all the car needed was a valve cover gasket, and it was just gonna be a few $100. It was a miracle that just a valve cover gasket repaired the whole engine. So hopefully she doesn't watch this video. She still doesn't know. Before we shipped it to Florida, while my parents were still living in Ecuador, I also got married in it. to my beautiful wife. I wanted to drive my own vehicle to the reception. I have known my wife for about 6 or 7 years before then. We dated for a long time before we decided to get married. So the last thing I expected was to get nervous the day of the wedding, but I did. I am waiting outside the hair salon for my wife to come out of it, and we were going to drive together to the chapel, and I got really nervous. Coincidentally, next to the hair salon, there's the liquor store. So I bought a local favorite, which is called Shumir, which is like a moonshine, and it looks like water, but it tastes like fire. And I'm waiting outside, and she's still getting her hair done. We're running late. That adds up to the nervous thing. So I sit there outside in the car, and I start sipping and sipping and sipping and looking at my watch. Next thing I know, I finish the entire bottle, and I feel it start hitting me. I see my wife come across on the street. She sits next to me. I look at her and I go, "You look really pretty." And the moment she saw me saying that, she says, "You're drunk." And I said, "I'm fine, I can drive." And she says, "No, you're drunk." I said, "I got this." Allegedly, I fired up the car, and allegedly, I drove us to the chapel where the ceremony was going to take place. Also, people say that I was blowing the horn all the way to the property, and I was driving through that grassy driveway faster than you should reasonably drive on a grassy driveway while it's raining. And allegedly, when I got closer to the reception area, I slammed on the brakes, and the car went sideways in the mud and stopped within 2 to 3 feet of the concrete stairs. Allegedly, I got out of the car with an umbrella, and well, this is not allegedly, this actually happened. I opened the door for my wife, and there's a picture of me holding the umbrella in one hand over my head, and my wife on the other like this. And we got married. My wife doesn't think it's as interesting as I remember it. I guess their sense of humor is a little drier than mine. There is a reason, I believe, that explains why we are such Mercedes-Benz fanatics.
Yes. When I was working on the construction of the port of Esmeraldas in Ecuador, the maritime port of Esmeraldas, and my dad, who always had a fondness for Mercedes-Benz cars, lent me one of his Mercedes-Benz vehicles back in 1977 to assist us with the logistics surrounding the birth of this grandchild. And just 3 days before Mario Andres was born, my wife and I were driving together from the office straight back to our house. And on a wide avenue, at low speed maybe, 40 kilometers per hour, a truck suddenly crosses in front of us. I couldn't do anything and ended up under the truck's chassis with the car. My wife, naturally, from the force of the collision, was left sitting there with my son, tucked under the glove compartment of the vehicle. From that moment on, we've liked Mercedes-Benz a little more.
Yeah, so you can say that a Mercedes car saved my life, saved all our lives. Around 2015, my parents decided to also migrate to the United States, which meant selling all the properties they own, also selling the Mercedes. So at that time, I did something that most logical people would not do, which is spend several thousands of dollars to ship a car from South America to Miami. I ended up paying more than what the car was worth at the time just to bring it to Florida. We put it on a shipping container, shipped it to Port of Everglades in Miami, and went to pick it up with Dad. We drove it across Alligator Alley, 120 miles. Being car people, even though we were traditionally dedicated to construction, my father is a builder where we came from. He built bridges and high-rises. We have this passion for cars, and we started a dealership. We do mostly collectors' cars or limited edition, specialty vehicles. A small volume, it's a small business. This car is still in our hands, and I don't think I'll ever sell it. It's here to stay, it's ours. It's like your old pair of shoes that you feel comfortable in. there's some good times with that car, and I hope that I can pass it down to my kids one day.
Hasta la próxima, muchas gracias.